Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Okay, Barron County Fiscal Court, this is a special called meeting, June 26th. Or, sorry, not June 26th, sorry, I'm looking, no, wrong meeting date. Sorry, my bad. Amy passed me the agenda. Thank you, that would help. That was my June 26th board meeting yesterday. Today's June 27th, 8:30 a.m., Barron County Government Center, special called meeting. Please call roll. Shanda is on Zoom. I can call roll, though. So, Jeff Botts.
Here.
Derek Pettigo.
Here.
Tim Durham.
Here.
Then we'll just skip down. Sorry, Tim Coomer.
Here.
And then Marty Kinslow.
Here.
Ronnie Stinson.
Here.
And Brad Gross.
Here.
And Jamie Burke. Here. Okay. So everyone is here today, and we have a few things to get to. The main purpose of this meeting was the second reading of our budgets, and we talked about this back at the last regular scheduled meeting. Really quick, just a quick thank you. I think Mr. Durham wants to make a thank you to someone just as that's here today.
I did. I asked Mr. Sammy Perkins, would he please stop by for a minute? We had an issue out on the Fallen Timber Road. Sammy, I tell you, it's been that way for ever since the road has been built. And he was very gracious, helped us with his brother. His brother lives out of town, Mr. Larry Perkins, and I want to thank the Perkins family for allowing us to take care of a very dangerous spot on the Fallen Timber Road. And what y'all done has really helped the county. I think you be noted for it. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you to your family, and thank you to our road department for being able to get to that, and the contractors that helped us out with that, and Mr. Durham for setting all that up. So, I love improvements on our roads.
One at your daughter's house,
Real quick too, before I get going, don't forget Barron County Fair tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night. They had to cancel last night because of weather, so you need to make sure and support your Barron County Fair. And we're going to have a special guest with us tonight out there. The Commissioner of Agriculture is joining with me tonight at the fair, so we will hopefully get to show him and welcome him to Barron County. So Jonathan will be there tonight. So
Thank you, bud.
okay. Next up, need to approve the second reading of the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. I need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Durham.
Second.
Second by Mr. Botts. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That completes everything for the budget for this year, for the new budget, and thank you, Mandy, for all your hard work on that. Thank you. And Marty. Marty put a lot of time into that as well. Approve the second reading of ordinance number 692, amendments to the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Kinslow. Second by Mr. Gross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again to Mandy for getting this done to make sure everything closes out correctly for audit's sake, and we appreciate it. So, great job. Need to approve appointments to boards and councils as presented. Did she send that out in the packet? No. She did not send that in the packet. The only one on that, we need to, what it is, it was a motion, the motion needs to be, is to appoint McFarland, I went completely blank, sorry. Ms. McFarland to the chair of the PV, what's the name of the board? Is the assessment board. Sorry, just make sure I said it right. So we're making her the chair of the assessment board because we need to do that through this. Okay, so that was one of the boards that needed to be finalized. So approving Ms. McFarland to be the chair of that board. She's already on the board. We're just approving her to be the chair. And the other appointment would be to appoint Kristen Haynes to replace a position that's vacant on someone that's stepping down and has ended their tourism commitment. Those were the two. I'm sorry, she didn't send those out. So,
I'll make that motion to appoint those two people.
okay, thank you, Mr. Coomer.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Coomer, second by Mr. Pettigo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for that. Need to approve the invoice for Scotty's. Okay. They got it, okay. Can you read the invoice before we make the motion in a second?
I'll make the motion that we approve
Okay.
this for,
Okay, motion by Mr. Coomer,
second.
second by Mr. Pettigrew. To explain this, this is closing out. We did a lot of these projects with our rural and secondary funds of paving in Barron County. I've been seeing a lot of work done, and I think that is a great reflection of the court and our road department for putting money back into our roads here in Barron County and what needs to be done. So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we can get that paid. Approve the invoice for tire recycling for $1,447.50. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Coomer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Botts. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Need to approve the quote from West Networks for Wi-Fi briefcase, 50% funded by EMPG grant for $4,499. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Botts.
Second.
Second by Durham. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. This is something Mr. Botts and I talked about after the last meeting about just making an open public discussion. And I knew we were already having this special called meeting, so I added it to the agenda for anybody that would like to, from a public standpoint, come and speak to the magistrates directly. I do know we've had a lot of people reaching out to our magistrates since the last meeting. And like voicing their opinions. But we've thought, this will be an option for individuals to come to speak at the meeting also. So I thought anytime we have the magistrates together to give people the option. So is there anyone with us today that would like to speak on the medical cannabis issue? If you would like to, you have a 5-minute time frame. Mr. Garland will be timing that, and but the floor is open if anyone is here. Okay, can you step right up here, please? Thank you. Can you time, Garland? Thank you.
Good morning, you guys. My name is Chad Wilson. Thank you guys for the opportunity to be here. Many of you do know me, and some of you don't, but I was one of the first hemp farmers in the nation, started one of the first CBD companies, Green Remedy. Been in the papers all over Glasgow. I made a huge financial investment into cannabis, and I've been on this journey for 12 years. I moved to this area to specifically take this journey because I seen the opportunity for affordable land. I seen the need for quality jobs that were going to produce good income, and I also see how cannabis tourism is a major impact onto financials in small towns. The real reason I'm here is because I'm nervous. I'm a little scared when I hear that our county is looking to opt out. I've been working for 12 years, and you can Google me. Like I said, I'm the hemp preacher. I've invested everything into my farm. The state didn't give us certain rights that other states got in industrial hemp. So when all these bills passed, I started making investments, building buildings. I've got 4 greenhouses. I've built 2 structures. I've got barns and storage warehouses. I've got trimming. I already bought all of the trimming, bud trimming. I have all the equipment. I have everything I need to meet the spec, except for installing an air conditioning and installing my bar security windows on my buildings. I'm ready to go. I have all of my everything. So when the state came in and they basically said that you don't have the right to sell hemp flower, it derailed us. It did, because at that point in time, hemp flower was selling for $600 to $700 a pound. That's a game changer for a farmer in their farm. So I looked around and all of the small little stores was selling it. Y'all know, because I'm sure it's come across your desk. I decided that I was going to use my money and my capital investment to extend that and to do the same thing that all the ones that didn't put any effort into the industry were capitalized on it, while the guy that spent 12 years preaching and teaching and educating, because the reason you're here is because the hemp farmer's here. Hemp helped end marijuana prohibition through education. We educated. So before I go any further, I want to also, if any of you have, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing it a long time. I would love to sit down with anybody that has concerns, questions, and address them with science at a direct level too. But my thing is this, The state came in and they said, got wind that I was going to be trimming flower on my farm to get it ready for sale. And through my partner, I was told that basically I needed to cease. If not, I would lose my hemp permit. That was the course. So I spent 12 years of my life building this, had the opportunity to earn this money, and then my state says, you can't do this. So I didn't, but others did that didn't put in the work, and they've been capitalizing on my hard work for years now by selling illegal products, by another thing, enforcing laws on hemp farmers that are not enforced on stores. That's wrong. I should have the freedom to do that. But it really terrified me, the thought that all of my investment could stop because of my zip code and all of my hard work. I've changed lives in the hemp industry. My father was a product of CBD. This plant is not evil. Cannabis is not evil. The science proves that. My father had a massive stroke, lost his ability to speak, and long story short, because there's a whole massive story to it, 10 days after using CBD, my father started speaking again. They said my father would never live on his own, and he does. I have countless children across the state with Eli's Hope. It's a charity that Green Remedy takes care of children and gives CBD. But a lot of those children need THC too. So it's about filling patients' needs and personal freedom. You have, everyone in this room has the right to choose to use cannabis or not. But we're a country of freedom. And we shouldn't take freedoms away, especially for me as a farmer, because I'm going to be real honest. It's going to be hard enough to even get this with all of my qualifications and my years of growing. Because, guys, there's going to be 20 to 30% that get permits, and they're going to fail because they think that they secretly hid 6 plants and grew them for years that you can grow 800 plants, 500 plants. I have the experience in growing. In 2019, almost every plant that went into Indiana clone came off of my small family farm. All I ask is that you don't steal my dream from me. I have invested everything that I have, and the mayor there knows it, and I have been good for this community. Go and Google me and look at what I've done for this community and the education I've done. Please don't steal my dream and my opportunity away from me, and let me gain back my capital that I've invested into Barron County on my farm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else that would like to speak this morning? Okay. Thank you for attending this morning. Yes. I have added to the agenda, and like I said, if you all magistrates would like to do anything today, I've added that. Not a pressure or anything like that, but I just want you all to have the option. I knew with this special called meeting that we had to, so it's on there. So right now, the floor is open, magistrates, if you want to talk, if you want to do anything, so floor is open.
Yes, I would like to follow up on our last meeting that kind of at the end I brought up, reach out to your magistrates if you have any questions, or at least let us know what you're thinking. So I kind of wrote down, I had 5 phone calls, and each phone call was encouraging me, or at least they were for this. I had 0 calls of someone calling and saying, this is going to be bad, I would like for you to consider no. And then I specifically asked 2 individuals that I really respect and asked their opinion because, I'm trying to learn all this too. And they also didn't have a problem with it. So right now I've had 0 that's come to me as Maastricht District 1. That's, and I know some people have commented that we're trying to maybe rush this. 8:30 was not a good time, but if you watch the meeting you had from last Tuesday to talk to the magistrates or call up here at the judge's office and express your concerns. So yes, 8:30 is not the best, but usually if something's passionate enough, and I appreciate Chad coming, that you could make time. You have break times, and I think most workplaces would let you do that. But I don't think 5 o'clock in the afternoon would be much better. Everyone's got kids that are playing ball and this and that, so no time is good. And we apologize if it's not been maybe the right time to have this court meeting. I know it's a big issue that we are faced to again, as masters, has got to face this situation that I don't know how it became our job to be a drug enforcer or send something like this magnitude in the county. But I wanted to share, and hopefully the other masters, have you had some calls? But no one has told me or called me that they're not for this. Thank you.
Okay, floor is open.
I'd like to say this, again, I've emphasized this, but it doesn't get across to people that I'm 200% for medical marijuana. The problem with what Jeff is talking about, when you ask people, are you for medical marijuana? That's an open-ended question. People that are for it, what my problem is, they don't know what's coming down, and what this gentleman just said emphasizes my reason to want to wait. The hemp, everybody thought this was a great idea. The state brought this down on us, legalized hemp. I tried it. I did it. Do you know how many people, because our government changes the regulations, just like he said, lost money? There's hemp still sitting in the barn. I'm not comparing medical marijuana to hemp. I'm comparing it to what the state legalizes, and it doesn't work because it's not thought out. When you ask people, are they for medical marijuana? That's a simple question. They're not going to have to deal with all the mandates. After this is passed, the state's going to change. There are going to be mandates brought down on us that we're going to be responsible for. It's going to put a burden on our county attorney, our law enforcement, all these things. And I guess, and Jeff's lived through this too, I look in the past at things that we've jumped into, and that's what makes me so hesitant too. Just like, I don't know if everybody remembers the ARPA. You know, we come in here and we hastily, I was the only one, not saying that I was the only right one, I was the only one to vote against doing what we did with that money up front because we didn't see it, think it through and see what we needed to do. We hastily spent that money, gave it to people that desperately needed, our county employees, the nurses. I'm 100% for that. But what about all the other people we left out? All the other people, because we made a decision not knowing all the facts. And again, I don't think there's one person, and I'm farmed all my life, and I understand this gentleman, and I hope he can understand that people have different opinions. But I don't think there would be one person in this county that would do without. People say, well, they shouldn't need to go. What about people in nursing homes? They'll get it just like they do the rest of their medicine. It'll be delivered to the nursing home. They're not going to do without it. People that live privately, if they don't have someone in the family that can go to Bowling Green once a month and get there, or Glasgow City, and I want to emphasize again, I'm not comparing him to medical marijuana. Medical marijuana is needed, 200% for it. And I think if there's anybody that needs it in Barron County, I'm not saying that somebody in the county will go get it for them, but I think there wouldn't be anybody that would do without it. What I'm sorry the most about this is the farming part of it, but I really think us waiting would protect stuff, just like you told us, sir, about how they changed the mandates. And you talk about greenhouses. My understanding, medical marijuana cannot be grown in greenhouses.
If it's surrounded by a fence, according to the way the law reads, it has to be surrounded by a fence.
And it can be in a greenhouse. Okay, I was told it could. Okay. And you have to have a full-time guard, right?
It has to be locked and cameras. You don't
Yeah.
have to have a full-time guard.
Okay, I was misinformed. I was told,
all of that. I've invested already.
Yeah.
I've already bought both circuit TVs.
okay. And like I said, I just have to say these things that we've jumped into, it's burnt me. And just because the state does it, it sure doesn't make it right. because they're not gonna be out the cost for the county when we see that they change these mandates and we start having more court cases and as far as the income for the county, there's not gonna be any revenue without occupational tax that I think it's gonna cost the county money. I'd rather wait, and that's just my opinion. I don't want any hard feelings, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Floor,
May I counter a couple of comments?
Uh,
Because there is a couple of comments that really need to be made to address that comment that he just made. By holding off, our governor has gave us the opportunity to enhance small business and create Kentuckians that are entrepreneurs, to give them small business opportunities by holding off what's called the MSOs, the 1 year. That's the big players that come in and can do everything. They can grow, they can extract, they can manufacture. So voting no on any of this is voting no against Kentucky entrepreneurs and Kentucky farmers. I don't want to hand this over to the MSOs. Kentucky, we should be growing and selling cannabis here, making and creating jobs here, because even in the hemp industry, people that worked on farms were making $15, $20 to $20 an hour, comparable to most factories. Also the comment that we thought hemp was good. Hemp was good. The reason I'm where I'm at is because hemp was good to me. I had an opportunity and I worked my tail off and I converted my farm and I did what I needed to do to set my destiny. And that's all I'm asking you, is not to take away my destiny, because hemp gave me the ability to make these thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment into my farmland in our county. So I don't want to disregard that. Plus, there's a big difference. Marijuana has already been in the market for 25 years in California. Already been in the market in Colorado for 10 years, and the world hasn't fallen apart. They've seen more money in infrastructure, into their roads and schools. They had so much money, they said, what do we do with the extra? And the people voted, and the people said, we send it to schools and we send it to roadways. So the difference between hemp and marijuana is we had a plant that's been criminalized for 80 years as illegal. We came in as the first CBD hemp industry. There was no guidelines. We had to invent it. We had to invent the safety protocols, the scan on the thing sheet, because even there was no help. We did it. I did it. And so to say that hemp is still a #1 cash crop for the state of Kentucky, it should be on every farm, whether it's food, fuel, or fiber. So I want to say that this is two totally things.
I don't know where you get your information, but hemp is not the #1 cash crop in Kentucky.
Sorry, cannabis is actually, if you look at the books over the last year, illegal cannabis is the actual #1 cash crop. So,
Yeah.
but hemp has the ability, sir. When we look back, Kentucky led in hemp, all throughout the beginning of the industry, and we spread it across the country. We have the chance to lead in the green economy. We should not be running from it. We should be running to it, because as a tourist town, and I know, I'm just going to tell you, this is my final call. I'm going to leave, because I can't make a living in this county, and I own multiple small businesses. It's a struggle. But comparing medical cannabis and hemp is two things, because there was no industry guideline. But now we have 37 states that have came before us in a safe access program of cannabis, and now we have those guidelines that we can look at other states and make our program better. But to say that hemp is still good for Kentucky, and we're seeing it. Victory Hemp is making foods and expanding food operations, but it's two totally different things. But hemp is why I'm standing here, and hemp is why I made the financial investments into the county and my farm. Please don't take my green away.
thank you, Jeff. Any other magistrates want to speak?
Yeah, I'd like, I'd like to go next. I'm not going to rehash all the points that I made in our last meeting about, I believe it's good for the economy, jobs, it gets money in the community. It's jobs for people, retail opportunities. I'm not going to go over all that again. What I would like to do today is give you a different way to look at it, why I'm still for it, and I believe that we need to go forward. But before I do that, Mr. Coomer did make a lot of good points. There are unknowns. There will be roadblocks, stumbling blocks, whatever, but it's that way with everything. If and you move ahead, you're going to be right where you are today. And now, what I want to tell you today, instead of talking about economy and all that, I want to give you what it means to me personally. Most everybody here knows that I nearly died in a bad accident a couple of months ago. And even though I walked in here today, I'll walk out, I look like I'm doing good. I've got over 15 broken bones. I've got muscle injuries, ligaments damaged, internal injuries. What we've got in this area of the United States is an opioid problem. This is not an opioid. I'm not going to go into what I had to go through to get 1 month's worth of pain medication to deal with what I've been dealing with. That I could take up an hour. I'm not going to go into that. Medical marijuana is what people who have been through what I've been through need as an alternative to a dangerous medicine. Now, it's a necessary medicine in the short term, and that's why it's been over a month since I've been on pain medicine. No doctor wants to give it to you on an ongoing basis. The medical marijuana is different. It is for long-term management. I just wanted to give y'all my background, and I would be for it even had I not went through this. If we do it, and I encourage us to go ahead and do it now, sooner the better. It's not going to help me. It's still going to be next year. I will be over this by next year. It's not going to do me any good. I want it to be there for others who need it. No one here today may need it, but next year, one of you here, it might be you that's in my position or one of your loved ones, and I don't want you to not be able to have access, once again, to a proven, safe treatment. But I'm done. I'll be quiet now.
Okay.
And I just think people don't understand, I'm not, again, whatever we do here is not going to keep you from getting medical marijuana. It's going to give our county time to see what mandates come down. And that's what I can't get across to people. Everybody thinks, they say, well, everybody, these excuses for why we need medical marijuana. Well, I know we need it. But what we do here as a county to protect, to see what's going to happen is not going to stop you or anyone else from getting it. That's what I can't get people to understand, that I am for medical marijuana. I'm against burdening our county, and I'd like the county attorney to speak again when he gets a chance, but I'm sorry, Brad, I think he was getting ready to speak.
You're fine.
Okay.
Hey, Judge, can I make
Yes.
a couple comments?
Yes, it's fine.
Squire Coomer makes a valid point. Let's just face it, we're not voting whether people can obtain a card. We're voting whether, if a dispensary, cultivator, producer gets picked in Barron County, whether an individual has the opportunity to get it here or go elsewhere. I mean, the state, let's just face it, the state has put it on us, and that's why every county and city and municipality is arguing about it. I mean, but it's not the first time the state's done it to us. It won't be the last time the state's done it to us. As far as I'm concerned, the worst thing it's done is created another bureaucratic department in Frankfurt that's gonna have a bunch of employees that, that's my point. Somebody made a comment and said, well, thank you for being progressive. I don't like being called progressive because I feel like I'm being confused with people, the far left idiots in DC, and I'm not that progressive, okay? I just think that we're giving a business an opportunity, if they want to make the investment, to locate in Barron County. And granted, we don't have to do anything. We don't vote to opt out. If we don't vote to opt in, either way, we will be included in it whether we do anything. But I also believe we need to make a stand. That's just my opinion.
Anyone else?
Judge, I've never heard your issues on
Here,
this.
here we go. I like to listen to everybody. Well, I mean, you have three options. Like somebody called me and they said, I can't, the county's out. Well, nobody's out. I mean, basically what you're voting on is, if you were to bring it up, even if you don't even bring it up, you're in. Like if we were to go this whole year, we're in if we don't vote it out. That's the decision, is if you're opting out. It's really not if you're opting in, because now it is legal in Kentucky. It will be sold in Kentucky. So, I mean, basically what we're deciding today, just like what Mr. Gross said, is that will it be grown here? Will it be manufactured here? Will it be sold here? That's what we're deciding. And then, I know that the idea to put it on a ballot has been brought up. If you put it on the ballot and yes or no, whatever the result would be, that's 3 years. So no matter what, it's 3 years. So I don't know. I mean, that would really hurt somebody like Mr. Wilson right here that has, invested a lot into it. I do not think this is a program that you're going to see on every corner, because it's a very hard process to even get selected. It's a lot of money being put into it. So I don't think by voting yes that we're opening up the door for just multiple, because it's a lottery system. And I don't know how lottery that's going to be. Do you know what I'm saying? They did say, they say it's a lottery system for the applicants. In our region, I think we might get we'll get 2 in this region for dispensaries. I don't know how many growers they're going to be in the state that they're going to select.
But there's going to be 10 small.
Yeah, it was multiple tiers. Yeah, multiple tiers. So, we got 120 counties. It's not going to be on every corner. I mean, I do think that. I hate to pull away from opportunities for, our agricultural community. It's not going to be grown in the field. Just make sure everybody understands that. This is not a open field crop. This is like you have to have specific things to grow this item. It's not the security has to be 24 hours, not an armed guard, but a 24-hour, security type setup with TVs, et cetera. It's got to be closed indoors. It can't just be a regular greenhouse that has open areas. It is very strict. It's very scrutinized. I do get where Mr. Kimmer says too, though, this has changed a lot in the last 3 weeks. Just even what, coming down from Frankfurt, it's a learning process. But, I guess my stance too is I've seen some other counties go no, and that it might push opportunities for Barron. That's where I stand. So.
Out of all the people that's reached out to me in District 2, I've not had one, just like Squire Botch said, I've not had one to say they're against it.
Yeah.
But I'd still like to see some farmer in Barron County prosper from this.
Okay.
Judge, can I be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Simpson, yes.
All right, I've got lots of good to go with this, and I've got lots of bad. So, first of all, I don't trust the state on changing stuff. It's just a problem. It is going to increase some problems for our county officials, our agencies. And I agree with Mr. Gross here. The state put this on us, and they should have never done it, but it passed the buck off of them. The good part of this, as Mr. Kinslow said, when I was having back problems a couple of years ago, I'd have took anything I got my hands on to get an hour's sleep at night. And then we need freedoms. We need freedoms to grow and do stuff. I know it needs to be regulated, but if somebody in this county wants to take a chance on this and grow something, I think they should get to. I do. But now there's problems with that as well. And as Mr. Coomer said, you know, this is needed. Again, I was hurting so bad and couldn't sleep at night, I took anything I could get my hands on.
Can I interrupt?
But, now let me finish this one. Also, as Mr. Coomer said, you know, we are pushing things a little bit here speed-wise, and I understand both sides of that. I really do. But if this is needed, and this is something that we want to do as a community, to have this tool, if we can't raise it here, if we can't open the doors and say, all right, we're going to raise, and I'm not, the dispensary really doesn't make any difference to me. It's more about if somebody's willing to put the money out to do this. If we need this, we should be open-minded enough to raise this here, in my opinion. Now, somebody made a point to me to say, if we had a pharmaceutical company wanting to come in here and spend millions of dollars and create thousands of jobs, would we vote for this? I probably would, even though I know the problem with opioids and stuff like that, but they make other things too, so. This is not an easy decision for me. I've sat and went back and forth with this and talked about a lot of people, with different people about this. I've had some no, I've had a lot more yes, but a lot of them quite don't understand all that goes into it, as Mr. Coomer said also. So, and originally I was for putting it on the ballot. I have changed my mind on that. I think we need to do whatever we're going to do and be done with it and not cause problems with the people in our communities fussing about this with each other. So, all right, Judge, that's my point on that.
Thank you, Mr. Stinson. You know, one thing you did say too to note, you know, the timing. I mean, there's really not like, we are a yes until we are a no. Every community is like that because it's completely legal in Kentucky as of January 1. So, you know, the longer we do push out, the problem is it comes into issues with people that are wanting to invest into this and apply for the licensing and stuff like that because it is non-refundable. The licensing payments are. So it's almost like that was one of the, I guess I did get a couple calls after the last meeting about criticizing us pushing it off, or pushing it down the path, I guess to say. And it was just because, you know, they were saying we're getting ready to invest a lot of money into this and we need to know where the county stands before we do that. So that was, you know, again, nope. I mean, I'm not saying you got to do anything, but that was the only real true negative response I got from the last meeting. Everyone appreciated the talking and everybody voicing their opinions of where they stood. It was just, they wanted to know how long we were going to push the decision-making out to. Putting on the ballot was a concern because after, you know, they won't know, well, they'll know October 1 if they gotten selected to be a grower or whatever. But then if the ballot goes out in November and then it comes back as a no, then they will not get that money back. And I'm not saying it would be no. It could be yes. I don't know. I mean, that's that's up to the public. But then they would lose that investment. They would have the option to move to another county that had, or city that had said yes, because Cave City is yes. City of Glasgow now is yes. So that's where we're at. So that's just pretty much it. So basically, magistrates, it's up to you all. If you all want to, go ahead. Yeah, Mr. Hatcher, yeah.
Judge, if I may, and you made the statement that you're in, but I think you have to make that decision by ordinance to be involved in the lottery. Is that not correct?
No, I mean, they pretty much told me that we could actually even sit on it until, even after we found out if anybody in our community got one. Yeah, you're a yes. Yeah, you're a yes until you're a no. That's basically what I've been told, yes.
I was just asking.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's a valid, yes. Oh, yes.
As a community newspaper publisher that makes a living selling advertising, this goes against everything that most newspapers would be talking to you about, but I encourage you to decide now. I've lived in this county and competed with individuals that when the wet vote came up, went and approached churches and got them to buy full-page ads, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 advertising to exploit the churches to get money in advertising. I've witnessed other publishers that would create groups and have them spend money to buy advertising one way or the other. So it goes against everything that I do as far as a newspaper publisher that makes a living, feeds my family, pays my bills, selling advertisements. And I could sell a bunch of advertising on this, I can tell you right now. I'm encouraging you just to decide and keep, you guys have our county coming together right now. And I'll commend you. I wrote an editorial this week. Can't believe I wrote this editorial, but commending you on how you had a good open meeting and you allowed people to discuss it. I respect each one of your thoughts on it, and every one of your opinions are important to all of us. And the questions you ask encourage you to get answers. It changed my view, and I wrote about it. It changed my opinion on this because I was staying away from it. I'm like, I don't really have a horse in that race. You know, I hate to use that now, but I don't really understand. You know, and it's fine, let you decide what you want to do. I'm going to be perfectly fine with it. I'll sell the new distributors advertising if they do it. And there's an opportunity in there for a good business person. But I do believe we are the #1 agriculture community in the nation. I believe that if there's an opportunity, and I respect you, Mr. Coomer, you've been alone many times in the past, and I've supported you, probably been alone with you there. But on this one, I feel that you need to decide one way or the other. And let's move on, put it behind us, and keep getting along here in the county and continue offering leadership that encourages us to put down our political differences and get along. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Now, what
Just
I
say you're-
said
yeah.
before, you know, I was one of the main one speaking up about it, and, because it's my way of just letting the people talk. I mean, you know, I had a lot of people not agreeing with me. They said, oh, they'll vote it down, and it'll be 3 years before we get it again. Hey, if that's the case, that was the case. I mean, the same thing happened on the wet and dry when it did happen. But you know, if it helps somebody like Mr. Chad, and if it's going to interfere with somebody growing, you know, I have no problem with rethinking my thoughts. But you know, I want the people to know I do respect, you know, their vote does count, and in anything like this. But I don't want to hurt the chances of helping this county. I don't care if we get 4 employees or 2 employees. We've got to get jobs in this county, and whatever it takes.
Okay, I think every magistrate now has said something. County Attorney would like to say something. Yep.
So, you know, my job's not to, like I said before, get in policy decisions for the fiscal court. My job's to advise you. The problem here is, and I've talked about it a lot before at the last meeting, and Mr. Coomer had talked about this too, is there's a lot of uncertainty with the law, and I'll be honest with you, I don't trust the cabinet. You know, and I say that from experience, you know, dealing with the cabinet and family court and dealing with the cabinet for child support. You know, it's a big bureaucracy, and I don't care, you know, if they hear me say that. There's a lot of moving parts when you've got any type of administrative agency. And some of this stuff is set by statute and can't be changed except by the legislature. But there's been a lot of deferral to the cabinet for administrative regulations. And even, you know, back when, you know, over a year ago, when the governor first, even though he didn't have the authority to do it, declared that medical cannabis was legal, I think it caused a lot of issues with the legislature trying to hurry up and do something about it. And in the meantime, the cabinet was supposed to come up with regulations, and I had another county attorney text me one time like, hey, deadline's coming up, you heard anything? Nope. And I was like, I'm not expecting anything to come anytime soon. The regulations are constantly changing. The other issue too is, you know, if you choose to allow the county to be open to medical cannabis operations, you can set laws, that's gonna take a lot of work. And the reason why I say that is because, when you create laws like that, you can create restrict the time, the place, the manner. State law already has some restrictions in place, but you'll also have to come up with your own local regulations, as long as they are not an undue burden. And I can't possibly advise you right now on what that undue burden would be. When you deal with an industry that's coming in with a lot of money, you're gonna have lawsuits. You're gonna have, it's not gonna be like, hey, we're gonna set these restrictions and we're all good. You could have some problems with people threatening lawsuits, saying it's too restrictive and all that. Can't possibly advise you on what's gonna happen. The only thing you can do is kind of sit back and watch and see what other counties do and what other problems happen. And that's usually what happens in situations like this when you got something new. There'll be lawsuits, there'll be court cases, there'll be all kind of things. And some places like to sit back and see what happens. And that's one option. But I can't possibly advise you what right now. I mean, obviously, I would probably help craft a lot of the regulations that would be put in place. And obviously, all the county attorneys have their, kind of get together, and County Attorneys Association, they have their recommendations. There's model codes and all that. State will suggest some codes. But again, you don't really know what's going to happen until you pull the trigger and you have these, you find out what happens basically. So there's a lot of unknowns with that. As far as the law enforcement side of it, I already spoke to that. It is what it is. If there's any law enforcement, my big issue is the regulations when it comes to enforcement. A lot of the stuff that I mentioned before, regulations about how you carry it in your car, you can't open it, how a lot of these facilities are supposed to operate. A lot of this stuff is going to be, we're going to have to rely on the cabinet to enforce the regulations. And I can tell you right now, when it comes to regulations, and this kind of coincides with the state regulations, we had a big issue, when the Farm Bill came down and hemp was, hemp came to be and all that, and I respect what the gentleman was talking about earlier. That's all fine and good, but also there was a lot of unknown issues that popped up, people synthetically creating Delta 8 and 10, which is still Wild West right now that we're dealing with. And, we had to depend on an administrative agency to, for example, regulate a lot of the vape shops, and that's not turned out too well. So anytime you rely on administrative agencies to enforce these things, I mean, you're basically at their mercy. If they don't enforce it well, or if they have no teeth to it, I mean, wagging your finger at somebody saying don't do it again, and then giving them multiple chances just is not going to work if you want enforcement. I'm not saying throw everybody in jail or anything like that, but you've got to have some teeth behind it if you want to keep it as administrative regulation. And what I've seen right now, I'm not very satisfied with. But again, that's the legal side of it. It's up to you. There is no right or wrong answer. You represent your constituents. I know people talked about freedoms and all that. Listen, I've studied constitutional law my whole life. I'm a conservative. I believe in the rule of law. Statutes mean what they say and all that. But at the same time, as we're a constitutional republic, and local municipalities have traditionally in this country been responsible for laws concerning health and safety. That's why when you had the Affordable Care Act come out all those years ago by the feds, there was a big issue with that because that was not a local government trying to regulate that. The federal government is restricted in what they can and can't do. And just like here in the state in Kentucky, I'm not from here, everybody knows that. So I've lived in different places with different legal restrictions. And we're a home rule state, and cities have a lot more power than counties do. And it's very hard to regulate things in the county. Health and safety are part of those. But again, there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to making restrictions to put that in place. So it's going to be really hard for me to tell you one way or the other how that's going to pan out. But as representatives of your constituents, you can make and craft laws dealing with health and safety. That's always been a traditional function of local government. So the decision's up to you. I've said my piece on it. So there's no right or wrong answer. The only question is, what do you want to do going forward?
Okay, thank you. So basically now, magistrates, if you want to make a decision today, I would have to have a motion made. If not, we will delay until the July meeting. So that's where we're at.
Your Honor, I would like to make a motion that we vote today to opt in.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to opt in to the medical cannabis, to allow medical cannabis in Barron County. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Gross. Okay, any discussion? We've had a lot of discussion. Does anybody have anything else, anyone else have anything?
I just want to emphasize again, because I can't enough, because it keeps coming up, that I am for the legal use of medical cannabis. And I feel that if all these people that you talk to, they say, yeah, I'm for that they don't understand what all the issues. They're just saying, yes, they're for medical cannabis. If we were just voting to legalize medical cannabis in Barron County for people to use, I'm 100% yes, but I'm just trying to look and protect. So that's all I have to say.
And I would tell you, I respect that position. There's, none of this vote today is personal to anybody here or out in the community.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor by Kinslow and a second by Gross. We'll do a roll call vote on this, as long as there's no other decision talking. Anything else? Okay, since Shannon's not here, I'll call the roll. Okay. Mr. Botts?
Yes.
Mr. Pettigo?
Yes.
Mr. Durham?
Yes.
Mr. Coomer?
No.
Mr. Kinslow?
Yes.
Mr. Stinson?
Yes.
And Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Thank you all for your discussion today. I feel like this is a very progressive meeting, and I appreciate all of your input, and thank you for visitors. Now I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion by Durham,
Second.
second by Coomer. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned.